DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health. By integrating the comprehensive animal health product portfolio of Merck Animal Health with the innovative technologies of All-Flex Livestock Intelligence, we are shaping the future of animal health, resulting in more effective solutions and healthier animals.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm glad you joined us. We're going to have a great show. Dr. John Hutchenson's here with us today. We're going to talk about some of the data that they have gathered working with superior livestock to find out things that people are paying more for, maybe some things they aren't paying as much for your calves when they're going into the sale ring or going on the auction on the video and then coming out to our feed yards. So stay tuned.
Bovolus Nasalgen 3 offers young calves unrivaled protection against devastating respiratory diseases, including IBR, PI3, and BRSV. And it has a unique blue shadow, so there's no second guessing which animals have been vaccinated. To up your protection, choose Bovolus Nasalgen 3 PMH, the first and only intranasal that protects against viral and bacterial pneumonia. Talk to your veterinarian and visit nasalgen.com to learn more.
Hey folks, welcome to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson and I'm here with Dr. John Hutchenson. And Dr. Hutchenson is the Director of Technical Services for the Beef Cattle Division for Merck Animal Health. He's been a colleague and a friend of mine for 30 years plus, and just a pleasure to get you on the show.
You bet. Thanks, Dr. Thompson. Good to be here.
It's always good to have Hutch here with us, and we're going to talk about some data that y'all put together, and you've been working with K-State and kind of putting together some data to understand what people pay for on calves that are coming off the ranch.
Yeah, even more, if you want to be more specific,
Yeah.
what the buyers of those calves are paying for, right? They're
Perfect.
the buyers that are using their checkbook to either pay or not pay for different traits, whether it's management traits or program traits that the producers are putting their cattle in. And so yeah, I would be remiss not to thank Superior Livestock Auction.
Yeah.
They're the ones that provide us the data. And then got to thank the folks that do all the work. So Dr. Glenn Tonzer and Dr. Dave Renner down at K-State. And so they take all that data, it feeds from Superior right into them, and then they do all the analysis and make sure they check all the numbers and give us a report out. And so this data is hot off the press. 2 years worth of data.
It's you can do surveys, but if the surveys are answered with a greenback, probably a little more validity than just checking it at the breakfast table while you're drinking your coffee on what you could do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I remind people. I tell people, they're like, I get in arguments. Well, how can you say that? How can you say fleshy calves are discounted that much? I said, well, I don't say it. It's the buyer says it. The buyers of these cattle, there's 2.6 million head of cattle in this data set. And so it's like, I'm just reporting what buyers are paying for.
Yeah, so 2.6 million over how much time?
So 2 years, 21 and 22.
That's amazing, though, how much Superior has grown.
You bet.
Now they're marketing,
You bet.
that many cattle. It's really a testament to what they've done, and I'm glad that they're partnering with y'all. So tell me a little bit about the data set and
You bet.
some of the things in it.
Some of the things that are in it is first kind of set the stage. There's 2.6 million head,
Yep.
21 and 22 cattle prices. There were the lot sizes, which, this is back to marketing your cattle. The lot sizes were 168 head. So pretty decent sized lot sizes. The average weight was 559 pounds. So that kind of gives, steers and heifers and mixed lots were all together. But some of the things that went on as it relates to not being affected was if you had a PI, persistently infected status free animal versus one that didn't report that. There was no price differential paid for those cattle. The one that we probably ought to spend a little time talking about maybe is implants. So
Yep.
if your cattle were implanted or not, there was no price per hundred difference at all.
So, we've all heard the myths that if they've been implanted, you're not going to get paid as much. That's just not true.
No, that's not true. So we've been working with this data for over 10 years.
Yep.
There's probably close to 10 million head of data in that 10-year database at least. And there's never been a price differential between cattle that are implanted and not implanted.
And this is while they're on the cow.
And this is why they're on the cow.
Yep.
So this is as they're a calf, they get a calfhood vaccine, and there's no price differential. And so you get to the best of both worlds. You get pounds that are leaner, a little more frame, and just a better overall product.
Yeah. So to just kind of sum that up, I mean, if you don't implant, you're not going to get the pounds. And if you do implant, there is no price decrease in people that are going to buy your calf.
That's right. That's right. So 23 pounds times $2 a pound is $46, less $2 for the implants, $44 net. It's the easiest way to generate revenue from a cow-calf producer. I'm convinced. It's the easiest thing you can do to a 2 or 3 month old calf.
It's perfect. We're going to take a break. When we come back, more with Dr. Hutchenson, we're going to talk about things that did make a difference when people were buying calves.
DNA Dialogue is brought to you by Identity Feeder, powered by Neogen.
There's certainly risk for producers because of the financial stake we have in the cattle operations, that we really need to protect our risk, and especially when there's things outside of our control that are happening in the industry, whether that's the general public or beef-centric issues within our industry, things such as black swan events that we talk about. So what can producers do to help minimize those risks is really very much from individual to individual. If you're able to withstand some of that risk and don't feel like you need to protect yourself, you know, that's a risk management strategy in itself, just saying I'm not going to have a risk management strategy. I think though for most people, taking into account that these events that may be out of our control, what am I willing to stand and how much risk do I need to protect? So there are ways to do that. Obviously there's the traditional ways of helping decrease your risk exposure, such as futures. Obviously there's the LRP program now, as well as options like put and take. So I think if you are at risk of financial catastrophe and can't withstand some of those events that are outside of our control, you should really consider those different strategies. More so on the other side is frankly, one way to manage risk is to always have continuous turnover of cattle and marketing windows across more times of the year. So for example, if I'm always marketing my calves as weaned calves, I'm really at the risk of what is the price every time in the fall on my marketing date. Whereas if I market a few dates, maybe I just slowly transition into going from one marketing date to 3, hold on to some of the calves, maybe put some extra weight on them, I spread out my marketing windows. That's one way to also manage risk. If you're a feeder, of course, the other way is you're continuously marketing cattle and continuously refilling those pens. Again, that's a marketing strategy that minimizes risk across different times.
Come on!
Angus GS powered by Neogen is the highest industry standard in genomic testing for your whole herd. Contact the American Angus Association to test today.
Stressors that trigger bovine respiratory disease are all around. So when you spot BRD in your herd, turn to Zuprevo, the fast that lasts. Zuprevo is rapidly absorbed in as little as 45 minutes and lasts up to 28 days. Because in the race against BRD, you need to win. Ready, set, Zuprevo. In case of human injection, seek immediate medical advice. For use in beef and non-lactating dairy cattle only. For prescribing information, talk to your veterinarian or visit Zuprevo.com.
When the ones who have your heart need your help, count on us for everything they deserve, delivered fast. We'll work hard for you so you can work hard for your dreams.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. John Hutchenson, and Dr. Hutchenson is the Director of Beef Cattle Technical Services for Merck Animal Health. He is a tremendous nutritionist. Pretty much all things beef industry you have been involved with the amount of research that you've done and been a part of to help change this industry, and I'm very thankful for all that you've done in your professional career. You give everybody else the credit, Hutch, and you stand.
Absolutely.
I know you do, and you should.
I just get to be part of a big good team.
Yep, he is a great leader, and that's what's obvious. So talk to me now about, as we were talking about the survey that y'all have done routinely with all cattle sold through Superior Livestock. This is the amount of money buyers
That's right.
are willing to give up for
right.
different types of practices or things associated with the cattle that they're buying.
That's right. That's right. So let's talk about some of the management factors that made a big impact.
Yep.
The one that really surprises me and that it continues to gain value, and I think it'll make sense to people, is cattle that are polled, no horns, $20 a head. Over $3.50 a hundred they paid more for. So all other things being equal, cattle with no horns made $20 a head on a 550 weight.
It's a pretty easy argument to put the little butane disc butter in the glove box when you're going out to tag calves, and if there's buds there, just buzzing them right there on day one.
Yeah,
it's $20 a head.
That's one way to do it, or think about bull genetics and things like that.
Absolutely.
And,
long term, that's
right.
That's our solution.
Yeah, that to me that's remarkable. But that is what a group of buyers bidding. And there's a lot of those buyers, because a lot of these sales, or all of those sales, are video.
Yeah.
So they attract a lot of buyers. The other thing that I don't think people will find unusual, but frame.
Yep.
They want medium to large frame cattle, right? I mean, outweights are getting bigger and bigger. We're feeding those cattle bigger and heavier, getting them fatter, getting them to marble. And so, they're wanting the medium to medium light. Now, you have to decide if your cows fit the environment and how you manage that, but medium and light frame. Flesh, they don't want heavy flesh. They want medium, light, really light, medium type fleshy calves. Those discounts, if you want to call them that, are I guess you could say premiums if you're in the light, medium, or the large, medium frame, right? Was close to $20 a head as well. And so, you got to have those kind of things. The other thing that I think people can use to their advantage is these groups of cattle. I think I said 168 in a lot, but is the variation in that lot. And so weight variation, the more they're uneven, like very uneven, I mean, there was quite a bit of a discount. And so, so producers ought to think about how they sort cattle, or how they tighten up their breeding season to not have so much variation. But there was, quite a bit of money even in uneven lots. And then the last thing was breed type. The industry, at least in this sale and these groups of sales in this database, really knocked on Brahman breeding. So if there was a mention of Brahman breeding, there's almost a little over $7 a hundred, so almost $41 a head discount on the Brahmans. And so, there's probably a lot of things to see in that.
Yeah, well, taking horns off, large frame, not too fleshy, some pretty key takeaways. But that one on the evenness is so, the thing is, the more cattle I'm around, it's not just the marketing end of it, but when I'm looking at preventing BRD or sickness, the lightweight calves don't get to the bunk, the lightweight calves don't get the windbreak, the lightweight calves in the pen don't get the place to lay down. They get pushed out and they get sick.
Yeah, and they're the ones harder to market at the end.
Yes. So getting even groups, huge opportunity.
You bet.
Great. Well, we're going to take a break. This is some unbelievable information. We're glad Hutch is here with us today. We'll be right back after these messages.
Success in the cattle business hinges on a lot of different people playing their part. From the vet to the cowboy and the nutritionist to the feed truck driver, you rely on them to get their job done right, and so do your cattle. Your expectations for the vaccines you use should be no different. Bimeta's cattle vaccines were developed and are made and sold by men and women in the cattle business. No smoke and mirrors, just real-world protection that you can rely on. Go to bimetabiologicals.com to learn more.
When a new calf hits the ground, the clock starts ticking. A belly full of colostrum gives them their best chance, but if they don't get any, time starts running out. That's when you grab a bag of Oxford Ag Colostrum in their patented feeding system. It's simple. You fill it with warm water, shake it to mix, feed it with a tube or a nipple, and you are done. No bucket, no bottle, no mess, and right on time. Ask for it by name wherever animal health supplies are sold.
Come on!
Angus GS powered by Neogen is the highest industry standard in genomic testing for your whole herd. Contact the American Angus Association to test today.
Hey folks, welcome back to DocTalk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. John Hutchenson. He is the Director of Beef Cattle Technical Services for Merck Animal Health. He is a PhD nutritionist and beef cattle production specialist, somebody that I lean on for information and just a wealth of information on the research that they're doing. And what we've been talking about, if you weren't here before the break, data that you're getting from Superior Livestock that shows what people that buy cattle will pay more for.
You bet. You bet.
When you're marketing. So these are things you can take home, you can implement, and make money tomorrow.
That's right. Some of them are easy, just
Really
like we talked about in that last segment.
Yeah.
You know, evening up your calves, whether either tighten breeding season or sorting, all those kind of things.
Horns.
Putting them in horns, $20 a head.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you know, frame flesh. We know a little larger frame, and we know a little less flesh. We know what the buyers like there.
Yeah.
But yeah, the horns. Unbelievable programs. So let's talk a little bit about programs. The program, I'm telling all cattle producers, I'm just looking ahead, right, Dr. Thompson?
Yep.
Looking right at the camera. If you are not BQA certified, you should be. There should be table stakes for beef producers. Yeah. So the premium paid for BQA certification on the Superior Livestock tag, they put these little labels on every lot of calf, what you certify you have done. BQA certified, $8 a head. $8 a head. Almost $2, little less than $2 a hundredweight.
Now,
advantage.
Somebody asked me on the BQA, they said, why do I have to do that every 3 years? And I said, well, I don't know why they said that. He goes, I only had to graduate high school once. And I said, now I can tell you why. $8 a head.
Yeah.
It's worth going in and sitting down once every 3 years, being certified, understanding what the industry is needing us to push safer food products forward.
That's right.
But you're going to get paid for it.
I remind people they're really food producers. They call them beef producers, but really, right, they're producing food. And so I had a guy come up at a meeting here not too long ago after I gave a little talk on this data, and he said, well, I only have 10 cows. Should I do it? Absolutely, yes. If you're producing any number of cows or calves, you should. Some of the other programs, there was NHTC. Yep. NHTC is about $32 a head. The GAP program is about $20 a head. So those are other programs. Now, what's not factored in those analysis of both the GAP program and the NHTC is those program costs.
Right.
So they do have some cost, but if you're in those programs, and have a marketing plan and have a place for those calves that you treat that away to go into, then there's some pretty good premiums there. And then the other program that's pretty popular is from a superior's perspective, it's called progressive genetics. And all that is they've chosen a lot of seed stock producers that have a really good reputation from buyers of producing really good calves, like, from a bull battery standpoint. And so if people buy bulls and use bulls in their cow herd from this list of cattle producers, then and they have that little tag, that little label that they use those kind of genetics, better genetics than, or as a perception that they're better genetics by the buyers, it was almost $10 a head. And so, by putting better bull genetics, the producer's going to get advantage, but then the buyers recognize those bull genetics and paid $10 a head more.
Yeah, so these are we're talking about horns being easy, but BQA certified and picking progressive genetics, it not only pays you in the performance and having more animal to sell, but people will pay you more for it.
Yeah. You get both ends of it, right? You improve production, and pounds pay, and then when you multiply dollars per pound being greater, right? It works for everybody. And again, I just remind people, this data, I'm presenting it as, our folks at K-State analyzed it and took that data, but it's buyers out there on the internet bidding against each other on these calves that's driving these values up of these things that producers can easily do.
Yep. It's an easy one to do, and it's something that this segment and what Dr. Hutchinson has been bringing to y'all is real money and it's something you can do quick. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to do a wrap up on some of these other programs that Dr. Hutchenson is tracking. You're watching Doc Talk, and we're glad you joined us.
When it comes to treating BRD, you want a product that you can count on to get the job done at an affordable price. Macrosyn by Bimeda delivers on both. A straight-shooting, no BS tulathromycin that does what it's supposed to do. End of story. You don't need to take our word for it, though. Go to macrosyn.com for customer testimonials and head-to-head trial results. For your cattle and your bottom line, choose Macrosyn.
The cost of an open cow these days is very expensive. It's hard at times to dedicate a half a day or a whole day to leave your practice to go palpate cows. And so Alertis Test has helped speed the process up of getting preg rates back to the owners. And so free up time for diagnostics or working in your clinic. It also will help generate revenue, not being on site to do the testing.
Hey folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. John Hutchenson. He is the Director of Beef Cattle Technical Services at Merck Animal Health, and a tremendous beef cattle production expert and researcher as well. Somebody that I gain a lot of knowledge from every time I'm around, and just thankful to get you to sit still long enough because you're on high demand to get you here for the show. So
I'm not sure, but I'm on high demand. I enjoy this. I get to talk to you, and then obviously we get to inform and educate people that are watching the show. So I think everybody that's tuned in, I think they're always looking for something to get an edge and increase revenue. And I'm just glad to bring some information that helps them do that.
Well, you are, and this has been maybe the most valuable show that I've ever done. To be honest with you, I'm sitting here just still blown away with the numbers that I'm seeing and hearing.
It's interesting how some of the things we've been talking about, right? I mean, we still keep going back to horns, how much they put on a value on it. You know, that signal's coming back, right? It's coming back to, these buyers, they're buying cattle likely for other people, or they're buying them to put into other programs or whatever. And, whether they're, want better genetics, no horns, even loads. I mean, there's just a lot of things that make sense. But now we're going to talk about some of the fun stuff. Takes a little work, but has huge impact on the cattle. And I think this is one of the biggest parts of the data that's the most fun, because it signals what the industry's still striving to do and trying to still battle, and that's BRD.
Yep.
And so these VAC programs.
Yep.
And so, there's several, you can obviously enter into several different VAC programs. We use VAC 24 as a base. So that's one shot. Okay, that's one shot on the cow, and that's all they have to do, and they wean them on the truck, and away we go. Okay, and so VAC 34 is the next level up. VAC 34 brought back $25 a head. It's two shots, and they're not kept at home, right?
Yep.
Okay, so they're weaned on the truck, but they got 2 rounds of shots.
Yep.
So just having 2 rounds of shots, and then they're modified live shots.
Yep.
Gave them another $25. Okay. But now it gets into the big money. VAC 45, VAC 60. Okay.
Yep.
So those calves are vaccinated twice, and they're kept at home for 45 days, a minimum of 45 days or a minimum of 60 days. And when you look at that VAC 45 program, it brought back $48 a head. The VAC 60 was 40. Now, from a statistical standpoint, they're not different. But you're talking about 40 to 50 bucks a head for keeping them at home. That tells me a lot about what buyers or the people that are directing the buyers to buy, and that's healthy, predictable calves that have been bunk broke, their water trough broke, they know how to eat something other than grass and mama's milk, and they've had 2 rounds of shot.
And they don't get sick. And with as hard as it is for us to find labor and all the different trade-offs, it's no surprise to me that if we can get these preconditioned calves that come in and just go to town, tremendous advantage.
Yeah, I mean, again, they're there. The buyers are paying top dollar. Right? I mean, $50 a head for a VAC 45 calf.
If you just think about what you added up today, it's easy to get to another $100 a head.
Absolutely. And you see that. I don't remember if it's Cattle Facts or who does some of those, where they look at, the top producers and the middle producers and then the less than average producers, and I think they've always see $100, $200 spread in there. These are some of the things that, people can do to push themselves up to that top.
Yep. Well, as always, thank you so much for
You bet. You bet. I enjoy it.
It's great. Dr. John Hutchenson. Thanks for watching the show today. Remember, if you want to find out what we do on DocTalk, you can find us at www.doctalktv.com. Always work with your local veterinarian. And here with Dr. John Hutchenson, I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, and we'll see you down the road.
DocTalk is brought to you by Merck Animal Health. By integrating the comprehensive animal health product portfolio of Merck Animal Health with the innovative technologies of all-flex livestock intelligence, we are shaping the future of animal health, resulting in more effective solutions and healthier animals.